All right, let's bring in our guest now to discuss. Joining us this hour, national trial attorney Michael Jaafar. Big case, Mike. Great to see you, brother. Great thank you so much for joining us here on the show. One of the reasons why, I mean, I guess again, it'll fit into the narrative of the state's case at some point along the line. But one of the things about that 911 call is her demeanor and the things that she says. There's nothing in that call that suggests she had been in fear for her life. That she was acting out of some sort of strange reaction to this overt act by the victim in this case. It's problematic for the defense, Mike.
Absolutely. We know the narrative that the prosecution is going to follow, which is that they're going to start with this 911 call, but then they're going to end with the videotapes of the interrogation, and then they're going to continue down the line to say how she lied and lied. She lied so much, her defense attorney in his opening statement said she lied. He had to address it right away, right? So we know that this is how they have to start. There's nothing in that call that shows that she was in fear for her life. But at the end of the day, that in and of itself is not enough for the prosecution, but everything in combination with one another, the narrative that they're building, we know what it is. We've watched this case now for years. I'm really excited to see how it plays out. And I will say her defense attorney's up. He's ready. He's ready for what they're starting right now. But yeah, I agree. This does not show that 911 call does not show that she was in fear for her life at all. And we know where they're going to end here with this. This is the beginning of the sentence, not the end of the sentence. We know how it's going to end. Yeah.
I would argue that she's lying now, and that this defense is hocus pocus, that was real. The body camera was real. The detective interview of 2 hours was real Sarah Boone, who couldn't see the obvious, that she absolutely had a lot to do with his death, but was saying, I didn't think that was real. This is a strategy that they're going with, which requires her to spin a very detailed, nuanced story. And Michael, I keep thinking every minute of this trial, since it's, in these last couple of days leading up to it, I just cannot stop thinking about the deal that was on the table. Yes. And they said no.
Yes. You literally stole my thunder. Yes, that's what I was going to say. This is manslaughter every day, all day. In the best case scenario, it's manslaughter. She passed up the deal. And not only did she pass up manslaughter, she'd already served 4 years in prison. So if she would have served 85% of a 12-year sentence, and she's already knocked off 4 years credit for time served, she'd be out while she's, I don't know how old she is. I know she's in her 40s. She'd be out in her early 50s, right? This is manslaughter all day, every day, even without the lies, even without the pink shirt investigator guy, interrogating her, even without any of that, it's still manslaughter. So it boggles my mind. I can promise you it's not her defense attorney that told her to turn down that deal. I've had many clients when I was a public defender that would turn down deals. I have PTSD from some of the deals that they turned on, and they insisted on testifying in their own defense over my objection. That's what you're looking at with Sarah Boone right here. Sarah Boone, she may testify here, by the way. She may get up there. This is a Sarah Boone show.
It was promised in openings, yeah.
And at the end of the day, I just have to say this about the manslaughter. In Florida, there's an intentional aspect to it. You're responding either in heat of passion or something along that line, that you intended it, but you had a reason or something to, bring it down from the murder to the manslaughter. Involuntary manslaughter, however, is an unintentional, accidental killing. I wonder, and that comes with a 1 to 15-year sentence, right? I wonder if they offered involuntary manslaughter, because she's so adamant that this was an accident on some level that she refused, and you know how principled she seems to be, yes, admit to anything that had an intentional component, when in her mind she never intended to kill him.
Right, but now she's coming up with this defense which is full of intention, and it's a mess.
Yeah, and it's about reading the situation differently. And you can kind of explain her claims to police by saying, as a victim of battered wife syndrome, they often think things are their fault when it's really not. So I guess you can sort of play around with that. Michael, stand by. We got a lot more to get to, folks.
Little sidebar there. Michael Jaafar watching along with us. This is another witness establishing the volatile relationship between the defendant and Jorge Torres. Is this the right way to be going with for the state here?
No, I was just going to say this witness could be just as helpful for the defense and to establish their narratives as the prosecution. And we saw the defense attorney just about to impeach this witness, obviously, and then they got called to a sidebar. I don't know. I'm going to reserve judgment on how well the state is doing. Obviously, it's early on in the case, but this witness, I just don't. I believe this witness could just be as helpful for the defense as the prosecution, because we know the defense are going to argue. They have to argue, obviously, the volatility of the relationship and the abusiveness and the domestic violence. They have to bring it up. And so this witness, the state's witness, came on and said, I saw them argue and fight almost daily, and I had to move into my living room because of how loud it would get sometimes, which kind of was bizarre in its reality to me. So no, I don't think that this is the right way to go, to answer your question.
Bringing our guest, still with us, National Trial Attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael, I guess what the state's trying to do is trying to show that she gave as good as she got. You know, if you're trying to paint her as some kind of victim in this case, that's not what the neighbors seem to be suggesting. But here's the thing that jumped out at me, Mike. Sounds like something was dropped down the stairs. Could it have possibly been George inside of that suitcase that she threw him down the stairs?
Ooh.
And that's where he got the contusions from? Is that what they're suggesting?
Ooh. Oh, man, I didn't even think about that, Michael. Maybe, perhaps.
What else could have been crashing down the stairs, Mike?
It could have been any number of things, but that's a great theory. So maybe that's what they're trying to prove. But for me, the way I look at it is, I know that her defense it was allowed earlier this week. It was ruled that they can use the battered spouse defense as long as they lay the appropriate foundation. To me, it seems like the prosecution is laying that foundation for them, right? Because at the end of the day, even if there's no way a woman could give as good as she takes in a relationship when the person that she's giving and taking with can kill her with his bare hands, right? It's like me and a tiger. Like, if I hit a tiger and he hits me, obviously we're more fearful for my life than a tiger's life. So for me, the imbalance is there. That's why we have the battered spouse defense, because women almost invariably cannot overcome a male in a physical altercation. But that's a great theory by you. Now you've got me all discombobulated here, pal. Now I didn't think about that. That came out of left field. Maybe that's exactly what it is. I got to think about that, because that would change the entire case. If she zipped him up in that suitcase and threw him down the stairs, everything I just said, just forget it.
Yeah, and they bring in evidence of these contusions, and they suggest these contusions were caused by being thrown down the stairs in that suitcase.
And she's going to have to explain, now that they're setting this up, what was the noise?
What was the crash, right?
What was it? And then the crime scene photos are going to say, well, there is no whatever she says. Is
right,
there? I mean,
right.
She better have a good answer for that one. We'll see. Boy, it's such a fascinating case, and it's a strange case too, because of the method that the way he died. The idea that I get what you're saying is that in a physical match, he's going to win it. And the defense said that in their openings. They weigh about the same. But that's not all that she's coming to the table with. Mentally, she is probably running circles around him. Right. And that's a different form of abuse. And if they can get her personality out there to the point where jurors connect those dots, she's in trouble, is she not?
She is, but when the defense takes the case, they're going to say, had she unzipped him, he would have killed her, right? They're going to say that. Even in their motion earlier this week, they said he took an overt act by trying to get out of the suitcase, and if she unzipped the suitcase, she knew how the story ended. So that's going to be their argument. Also, when this eventually gets to a jury, if I was a fly on the wall in that room, I have to assume that one of the members are going to say a well-adjusted person in a well-adjusted relationship does not zip a loved one in a suitcase and let him die there when he pleads to get out. So there's also that specter of things, which is their relationship itself was an abusive, bizarre relationship, and that's why I think is being laid here, proven by the state.
All right, Mike, thank you so much for that and all your insights.